the show. We're off.
Already?
Yeah.
No mucking
should be.
around.
Oh, hang on. What's going on? Yeah, there we go. No, that's not quite right. What's going on? There we go. G'day, Dan.
Oh, g'day, Tim.
How are you?
Yeah, not bad now, mate. Not bad.
Good. It's nice to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here to help you test out your equipment with these random interviews.
Yeah. They tell you what, they're fun. The one that I did yesterday, it was a laugh. It was 2 hours of just talking nonsense, really.
I like it.
Yeah, a lot of fun. How was your Father's Day today?
Yeah. Didn't do much, to be honest. Yeah, slept in, bacon and eggs in bed, and then cracked my first beer at 2 o'clock.
Oh.
Yeah. And then fixed the shower, and then had some champagne.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's a random day. I haven't had lunch yet. Been a bit busy.
Yeah.
But it's been a typical Father's Day.
Yeah, nice. We got over to the pools. Went over to the Paraguay pools. Got in early, about 10 o'clock this morning.
That's a good time.
Oh, it was great, man. The sun, how it's got the open roof on the inside pool in there? It was 40 degrees in the inside pool.
Yeah.
It was hot. The open roof, and the sun was coming through, and you just lay on the steps in this much water, half in and half out, like some sort of prehistoric lizard. It was just great.
Yeah, that's when I take the kids down 10 o'clock before it gets busy. And yeah, you kind of got to regulate your temperature in that in the pool. You're in and out.
Outside pool's 30 degrees. Inside was 40. I don't know if they heat the water water at all. It doesn't.
They do, but the problem with getting there early is that the hydro slides aren't on.
No, they were on. They were on. Yeah, that was a thing. I was surprised. I yelled out to one of the guys and said, "Are they open?" He went, "Yeah." I looked. It didn't look like they were. And then as I walked over, the gate was open, and yeah, we were sliding at 10:30 in the morning.
It's a bonus.
Yeah, it's a good spot. Just needs some work. Just needs some investment put in there.
Yeah. I mean, it's clean.
Yeah,
it's just yeah, it's just
it just looks tired.
It needs a reno.
Yeah, paint, some tiles, that kind of thing. It would look real good. Yeah.
No, it's a good spot. It's a good asset for Paraguay, that place. Paraguay.
Oh, I noticed you bought your second.
Yeah, I saw you had your first on the last one, and I thought we're going to talk about this, but then you've quickly hidden the first. So now it just looked like second rate.
I pulled the first out purely to stir up Matt, just to stir him up. Like I knew he'd have a laugh.
Yeah, well, you didn't deserve it, really, but you've got it.
Look, I think it just came down to
the other guy,
Todd's ability to drive.
No, you were getting better. I'm just pissed off because we were leading that hole like 3/4 of the way, and then the last couple of laps you guys took over. It's just it was rad.
I just don't know how Shane didn't win that first race. He completely dominated the second race.
I don't know how Matt didn't win at all. Like it's his whole gig.
Yeah.
I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
But he's a bad person, so
yeah,
it's just karma.
Second, at least you've got some incentive to improve, I suppose. For me, what's the point?
Yeah, well, we can go both ways from here. You can't.
True. I can only stay where we are or go backwards. Yeah.
So how was your Father's Day?
Good. Yeah. Oh, real good. The kids are awesome. Got a nice card and drawing of me from Locke, and Willa made me breakfast in bed, and it looked professional, man. Honestly, I took a photo of it and sent it to my dad and said, "Happy Father's Day. This is what I got." And it's like scrambled eggs.
What did you get?
Scrambled eggs, coffee, toast. It was a really good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I did get a happy Father's Day painting as well, but it was just Happy Father's Day painted on a A4.
Yeah.
That was good enough. We'll hang that up.
Yeah.
Aside for next time.
No, that's what you want. That's good. Just give me 1 second. I have something over here that I meant to bring over. I forgot.
A bit of a plug.
Yeah, I should do a shameless plug for Mama's Brew Shop, alcoholic kombucha. It's good gear.
It is good.
mamasbrewshop.com.
I tried to get some, but it was sold out.
Was it?
So popular.
Yeah, it is.
Just delicious.
Just one moment. There we go.
That's quenching my thirst.
Do you remember? You remember that day you were here and you were taking those photos outside? When I was getting photos of you posing with it. They were good shots. We should find them. They were actually really good shots.
I thought they were good too.
Yeah,
because like I know that Renee has her kind of look when she does the social media for the the photos that she does. I reckon I nailed it.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I thought I think if you were a little younger and like maybe had the big beard, you'd be more in the target market they were looking at that stage.
Yes.
But in terms of just a quality product shot, yeah, it was great. We'll have to dig those out.
It was mostly the shirt and the glasses, to be fair.
Yeah. But captured the feel of summer.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
It was like you could feel the hot air breeze blowing through your hair and you could hear the eagles playing in the background.
Especially the last one, that was capturing binge drinking.
I can't remember what the last one was. Oh.
It was only water. It wasn't actually. I wouldn't waste it.
Very good. Yeah, how's your rum expeditions going?
It's going really well. You just need to find the time to really invest in it. Yeah. So trying to run like an actual day job and then trying to run a distillery in the spare time. Time's a challenge. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it's coming along. We're up to like iteration number 12 at the moment. So we've finished, like basically got to a point where we've got the rum as good as we can get it. We've got the coffee as good as we can get it. And all we have to do now is start making it. So it's been, the best part of 2 years in the making. Yeah. But we've got a point now that we have a product that we're really happy with. And it's just about finding some time to do it. And I did bring some samples, Tim, if you want to, if you're interested in having a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Are you focusing on, when you say the product, are you focusing on two products, like the rum on its own and then the coffee liqueur, or just the coffee one? What do you...
So we've got the Rum Luwak, which is the Kopi Luwak infused rum. Oh. The only other product we've got is the barrel-aged rum, and those are the two things that we do. They're two different rum recipes, two different aging techniques. The show pony is the Rum Luwak. So what we do with that is we take Kopi Luwak coffee, and it's, just to be clear, it's wild harvested. It's not caged Kopi Luwak. So the civets are wild.
This is from Indonesia, isn't it?
This is from Indonesia, yep.
Yeah.
Yep, so we take that coffee and then we go through a process of, basically making an espresso with it. That sits on one point. And then with our rum for that product is made with 100% fair trade organic Muscovado sugar. And then we ferment that over about a month. And then those two things get blended, and that's our Rum Luwak. So it's basically an espresso shot and a rum at the same time.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I've tried it before. You've given me samples before. It's a beautiful product. Like if you're going to make an affogato, have some ice cream. Pour that over it.
Yeah, I was thinking about trying to make some shots. Like how would you blend it into shots? Like would you use Amarula cream? Would you use like a ginger or a vanilla or something to make small shots?
Yeah.
Because I don't think, other than like coffee martini, I don't think there's a lot you can do with it in terms of cocktails. Because I think it's best just to have it as it is, so nice and intense.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Although it would be good in a cocktail. Anything that wanted that coffee and a bit of a punch from the rum, and those rich flavors.
It would make a good Black Russian. Like you could pretty much just put that with Coke. That would be about it. But
have you tried that?
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a fair bit spare from all the practicing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we put it to the test.
It passed.
It passes straight away, but
Yeah.
you just the quality control. You have to make sure it's good the second and the third time as well. So does it have longevity? Can you keep going? But no, I mean it's rare as rockin' horse shit. So
Yeah.
it's not one you really want to mix and like just quaff it. It's one to have. It's like a finisher.
Yeah.
It's the thing you share, talk. And that's it. Savor it. It's not
A real premium piece, a premium sort of product at the end of the meal, and focus on it for a while.
The coffee's so rare, right?
Yeah.
And the sugar is it's not a common sugar. It's not like going down to the supermarket and buying a bag of white sugar. It's fair trade, organic, Muscovado. You can't buy a lot of it, and it's expensive. So it's expensive to make. It's hard to make because we try and keep the absolute best organic, fair trade, wild stuff we can get. So there's not a lot of it. So if we do a run, we might be lucky if we can make in a month between 6 and 12 bottles. Like that's it.
Yeah.
And it's a serious amount of coffee goes into that too.
Yeah.
So it's the cost is huge, but I want to say the product speaks for itself, but everybody's got a different taste. But in terms of, ultra premium, handmade, I often say to people that this would be one of the few products where I've literally been involved in every single drop that goes into every single bottle. Every part of it is hand done, and even when we're tasting to get the heads and hearts and tails off and the coffee, if it's not up to spec, it's gone. Like we don't put it in a bottle unless it's passes the taste test.
And so the rum that you build the base rum for that, saying that's different to the other cask age rum that you produce.
So the barrel aged rum's more of a traditional rum. So we use molasses for that. Mm-hmm. We use molasses and we put that through a pot still. It comes out much lower percentage alcohol, but basically we can run a pot still with a molasses wash and put that into a barrel. The barrels that we use are virgin oak, so it's a little bit different that we're not recycling like traditional rums do. But again, I'd like to try and change people's concept of what rum is, that rum can be as classy as cognac if you make it well enough. So we try and follow that path. So we use very, very, very like the best ingredients we can possibly use in the best gear and age it in the best barrels fermented with the best yeasts, so it's not just thrown together. Like there's a lot of thought and processes gone into it. So yeah, I have brought both. I did bring a little bit of the barrel aged rum. That's still aging at the moment, so I'd like to keep it in there for a bit longer. So it's a little bit green and hasn't quite got the golden color I'm looking for yet. So it's probably another 6 months before we pull that off.
The colour comes out of the wood of the barrel.
Colour comes out of the barrel, yep.
Yeah, it comes out clear, the product, when you take it out of the still, of course. It's distilled, so it's just a clear white spirit.
Clearer than tap water.
So so when you see those dark rums, things like that, is that just they've been aged in a barrel that's been burnt or something to give it a dark colour?
So they generally recycle things like wine barrels or whiskey barrels or port sherry barrels. So there's a lot of residual colour in the barrel, but some of the cheaper, darker rums, they will colour them, to give them colour.
Okay.
So because there's like rum has a brand, right? Like generally, if you speak to rum, you think of Navy, you think of pirates, you think of dark rum and yo ho ho, and that's where a massive chunk of the population's mindset is, trying to crack a market on an ultra premium rum, like you've got quite a thin wedge you're working with, So part of the fun's like actually convincing people that rum isn't what you think it is. And when I give it to customers at work and you give them a rum, they literally cannot believe it's rum. They're like, is this rum? It's rum. Yeah. But they're thinking it's scotch or whiskey or something else.
Yeah.
Because they are used to the syrupy, sickly, mass manufactured, sweetened rums.
And a lot of them are. I know as a kid growing up, when you start to go drinking things, the rums that we would have, Bundaberg rum was the rum that we saw. And for the thing that it reminds me most of, do you remember when you used to have at school those spirit copiers? It's showing how old I am. But you remember those things you used to like pour fluids into it, and it was before a photocopying machine? The smell of that, whatever alcohol was in that, that's what Bundy rum reminds me of.
I swear that stuff is fermented in old farmers' boots. It's the worst. Like, not even going to apologise to Bundaberg for that one. It's bad. Like, get some game. I'm sorry. The really old stuff is good. You know, the real select stuff's not bad.
Yeah.
But just that yellow label Bundaberg's probably by far the worst rum on the planet.
Popular though.
Very popular in Queensland, and like they're very patriotic. Yeah. You know, but well, average IQ of 30 up there, so you know that's what they're working with. You're not from Queensland, are you?
Yeah, no, New South Wales. Although they'd say the same about me, but yeah, man, we should try a little bit if we've got some.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, what we'll do is we'll try the. I'll actually try some of the barrel aged stuff first because it's less intense. Mm-hmm. So this is the white rum this one's been aged for about 6 months. And it is overproof. You know, we're talking about 50%. So it's just a bit over.
Thank you.
What you would normally have in a top.
Well, you'd normally have something at, 40%, would you? Is that?
Yeah, we try and shoot 42, but anywhere between 40 and 44, 46, 48. You know, you can get cask strength rums, which are really high, but, you know, they get a bit too intense.
Oh, that is smooth. That's beautiful. Like you say, I can see people would go, is that a rum? That's like a smooth, silky Scotch or something. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's dry, right?
Yeah.
So it's not syrupy or sugary or any of that. You know, it's fermented right down. We dried that one out with champagne at the very end, champagne yeast, to really get that last little kicker on it. And aging in the oak does add like a slight tanniny complexity to it, which gives you the perception of dryness. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's nice and warm, smooth.
That's a really, really sophisticated tasting spirit. That's good. Not too strong.
Yeah,
Smells good.
Yeah, we try and make it classy. You know, it's like everything's just pulled back and balanced just enough. Everything's just right. Nothing really jumps out and goes, it's hot, or it's oaky, or you know, it tastes like rum. It's nowhere and everywhere at the same time, right?
It's not warm. I guess it's just got a nice warmth to it.
A bit of warmth to it.
Not too hot.
But it's warm because it's strong.
Yeah.
You know, that hasn't been cut down out of the barrel, so that's like 50%.
Yeah, you can feel that though, warming you up from the inside.
Yeah, I can feel my cheeks sucking in. Yeah, they're imploding.
I can just feel myself warming up, my head warming up and smile on my face.
Yeah, all of the stuff the other two I brought today is the same thing. It's not cut down. It's as nature intended, so to speak. If it goes into the bottle for retail, yeah, we'll pull it back. But just for the sake of you wanting to have the intensity of like what it is,
yeah,
you'd be one of the few that actually get to have it like literally poured off the tap.
Yeah, wow,
straight out.
That's pretty cool. So the whole hearts, heads, and tails thing, that process, when you're distilling, you know, like so you've got it in your still your pot or whatever it is, kettle, boiler.
Yeah.
So it's sitting in there. You've got your mash goes in. Is it a mash?
A wash, yep.
A wash. Mash is beer, is it?
Mash is beer, yeah.
Right. So a wash. And wash is your initial fermented product, barley, oats. No.
No, it's
what is it? Sugar.
Yeah.
Just sugar.
Sugar.
Just sugar.
Yeah. But like I say, it's specific sugars.
Yeah, but it's
but it's sugar.
Like beer, you have a barley is common into making beer, isn't it?
Yeah. Barley mostly, wheat.
But here with the rum, you start straight with the sugar. You go past a plant product and you start with the sugar.
Yeah. So beer making, you take a starchy grain, and then you basically cook it at a certain temperature to get a enzymatic activity going on to convert the starches into sugars. Then you sparge those sugars out into a lauter tun or a fermenting vessel.
Just keep that kind of just near me talking.
So there's a whole process before you make beer of actually converting starches into sugars
to get your sugar base.
Then when you get your sugar base, you can pitch your yeast, and the yeast has got something nice and short chain to eat.
Right.
So that'll break it down and create alcohol if you're really lucky, if you don't get an infection.
Yeah.
So rum making is, in some respects, easier because you're kind of circumventing that whole process.
Skipping that first step of having to convert the starches into your sugars. You start with your sugars, which is because rum's coming from the Caribbean where sugar plantations were. You've got sugar cane, so you've got the product straight away. Makes sense.
Yeah, Bundaberg, right? You can buy Bundaberg sugar.
Yeah, right.
So Bundaberg sugar, the Northern Territory, far north Queensland, massive sugar plantations up there.
Yeah.
And a lot of the yeasts that you buy, like a lot of people probably don't know, but a lot of the yeast that you buy are propagated on molasses, so that they already have an inherent
taste for that. Yeah. They're adapted to that type of food.
Already evolved for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So home brewers will use white sugar. It's cheap, really available. They'll use it. Turbo yeast. Off you go. Great for your eyes. Not really. So if we're going to do rum, like I say, we're going to use as good a sugar as we can get.
Yeah.
Like the best of the best. What is the best sugar you can get? That's what we want.
Yeah.
Because we appreciate that we're already shortcutting that part of it.
Yeah.
So at least if we're going to try and be respectful to the art, we're going to do the best we can with sugar.
Start with a great product. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. And it's hard because you tell people, we make it with sugar. It's the first thing they think of. It's just
white sugar.
It's just white sugar.
Yeah.
Refined sugar. It's like, no, it's not quite refined sugar. It's refined, like it's not raw. Not stringing out the sugar cane, but
these sort of things, the effort you put in here are the differences that the people who know about this, when you start to sell, they start to talk about it. They, people review it, and that's the sort of thing that'll separate you and set you apart, and will get you the mentions in articles about the product, because it's not just someone doing it in a big shed with a whole heap of white sugar. It's mass produced. Like you see a lot of the drinks that come out now in the I don't know what we call
like
it.
seltzers and
There's seltzers and spritzers and Alka Pops and all pals and those sort of things, where I think they're just basically taking milk produced ethanol, dumping some colours and flavours into it, and off you go.
Yep.
Yeah. Here you're actually following the process and doing it with the best products you can.
Yeah, and we make it from scratch too. So like we don't buy our alcohol off anybody else.
Yeah.
We produce it. The where we make it, everything's recycled. So all of our water that we use, when we're distilling, comes out of a massive 10,000 litre tank, and it runs through the reflux. Then it runs back into the tank to be recirculated. So there's no wastage. When we're finished with the wash, it doesn't just get chucked out on the street. It goes into a septic system where it runs through drippers to go into basically a massive section where the grass will grow.
Yeah.
So like the wastage is as minimal as we can get.
Yeah.
Like we try and keep a zero footprint. We do have packaging problems. The sugar comes in plastic bags, but it has to stay dry. So there are things you can't beat.
And you can't really influence that upstream thing too much.
We're a small player. It's not like we're buying $100 million worth of sugar and we're telling these guys we want it in paper sacks.
Yeah.
They're not going to listen. This is how they sell it.
Yeah.
And we have the opportunity to buy it.
Yeah.
And that's it. The molasses though, the molasses comes from my uncle who works down in Tauranga. He is on the ships that import all of the molasses into New Zealand. So we literally just fill containers up, when we recycle those containers. So it's not like we're buying 20-litre pelotons and then dumping them. We refill them.
So the molasses you use instead of the sugar when you're producing for the luwak, is that no?
Yep. So the barrel aged stuff,
Yep.
that's molasses.
That's molasses.
Yep.
And so molasses is sugar in a slightly more refined form? What is
molasses is the byproduct of refining sugar.
Ah.
So that's
right.
If you can imagine sugar's brown
Yep.
to start with, when you boil it and you start distilling the sugar down, refining the sugar down, I should say. As you get browner and browner and browner, there comes a point where that brownness has to be removed to make the sugar white. So you've got the white sugar and you've got the stuff left over, which is molasses. So that's the boiled, burnt, all the nutrients as well that the sugarcane has is in there. And then the white sugar is, it's just pure energy.
Was it sucrose? Glucose? Sucrose, is it? Sucrose, yeah. Sucrose.
Yep.
And in here, I guess you've got sucrose and maybe other sugar types perhaps in there, and the yeast will then just eat that as well.
Yeah, it's nowhere near as efficient as white sugar, of course.
Yeah.
And so you have to use some enzymes and a couple of basically vitamins and minerals for yeast to really get it to go. But it'll go, it'll go on it. But it does take a long time to ferment, and it's pretty hard stuff to work with. It's pretty thick. It's
to actually get So do you? I don't want to give away secrets or anything, but do you mix it with water or something so the yeast can get into it to get to it to be able to actually eat it and ferment it?
So you gotta heat it up to make it workable.
Yeah.
So it gets heated up and then blended with a lot of water. So you've got a specific gravity band that you've got to work with to make it appealing for the yeast. If there's not enough sugar in it, you get a low yield. If there's too much sugar in it, for want of a bit of a word, it's too strong and the yeast won't like it. It freaks out. So you've got a band that you have to work with all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what we generally gun for is something that will produce around about 10 to 12% alcohol in the wash. So that's what we try and work with. 7 we can work with in the pot still, but in the column for the Kopi Luwak, molasses won't work. It doesn't produce enough alcohol to run through a column still.
So you need to use what was the name of the other sugar?
Muscovado.
Muscovado sugar, which the yeast is more adapted to eat more efficiently, and so you get a higher alcohol output of that. So instead of getting 7 to 12, what are you getting out of the Muscovado sugar wash?
Well, we can get 12 to 14% in the wash.
Yeah.
It just seems to be more appetizing for yeast. So we can get higher and you can run it through a column. So like I say, we've got 2 separate distillation setups. One's for the low yield, which goes into the barrels, which is that, and then we've got one for the high yield, which ferments a lot cleaner, a lot more neutral, and that goes through a column still. And it's a full copper column still. We have got another one turning up, which is a stainless with copper plates, and I'll be experimenting with that one in the next month or 2.
What's the difference between the 2 stills that you've got, the pot and the column?
Yep. So the old school pot still is like an alembic dome with a condenser that runs off the top. So it's like your classic moonshine still. It sits on top of a boiler, and it has
the conical kind of lid with a tube off the side.
Yep. And it's got the tube out the top that you run water in one end and out the other, and it drips down into like a little catch can.
Yeah.
The column's a bit different. So a column's a big vertical stack. And as the alcohol runs up, it can run through different plates and effectively single, double, triple, and quadruple distill as it runs up.
So it goes up, hits a certain plate, cools again, condenses, comes down again, gets reheated, and as that reheating process allows it to release vapor or alcohol out of it.
Yep. So it boils, and then condenses, and then settles. Condenses, settles, and
so the triple, when you say it's a triple distilled product or a whatever, that's because it's running through a condenser column where it's got these layers, and so it's doing 1 distillation, 2, or do you actually run it out of the unit into a bucket and then back through the unit? Is that a second and a third distillation?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So if if you're double distilling, triple distilling, or quadruple distilling in a pot still, you literally have to run it through again.
Again, right.
Yeah. But in a column, you can have 4, 5, 10, 12 columns, and you effectively get another distillation run as it's working its way up the column.
Yeah.
So it can take longer during the day to do that, but you only need to do it once. So you in theory, yes, you're getting a product that is quadruple distilled potentially, but it's not technically old school.
Been through the machine 3 times.
So when we double or triple distill that, it's literally been reboiled with clean water to go through again and again and again to clean it up.
And you double distill this?
That's
single distill this?
That's 2.5 times. Yeah. So don't want to give away too much proprietary information, but it's double distilled, and then it goes into another wash, so to speak, to pull some extra flavors out to be distilled the third time. So it's we call it 2.5, 2.5 times distilled.
Well, whatever it is, it works. It's good. If we had Taste Division here, people watching the show would just be like, they'd be loving it. They'd be smiling.
So my early, the first like 10 times I made the rum luwak with the coffee was done through that method, like trying to redistill, get the purity up. But it taps out. There's only so much. There's only so much efficiency that a pot still can run. It can't get to 98, 99%. It just physically can't. It just keeps catching too much water.
Right.
And so the one of the first ones I brought you is probably the 10th time that I made rum luwak to nail the recipe. Then I distilled it 4 times. We started at 60, then it was 68, 69, 69 and a half. Couldn't punch through 70. So the alcohol base that we started with wasn't massively pure. It was good, but it wasn't pure. There's still a lot of water in there. So to get the flavor of the coffee or the intensity of the coffee that I needed, we were going over the top on water to coffee ratio. So when we're making the espresso, there's way too much coffee in there. And so the coffee flavor feels stodgy. It's like, it's gritty. There's so much coffee in this water. The ratio's out.
Yeah.
And then when it blends with the rum's not up there. So the rum doesn't have the purity, and then you've got
an overpowering coffee.
It's the
end of the gritty, underpowered product.
So by the time you blend them together to try and get a 40% rum, they're almost working against each other. And even though in isolation they're probably not too bad, but together they didn't quite work. So we needed to develop a different
a method to turn that
process
around, so you can have a soft, slightly softer coffee in a way, and a punchier rum base.
You're 100% correct.
Yeah.
So the second time around, not second time, it's like the 11th time around. The 11th time, we made a much...
Keep your mic just a little bit closer.
A much softer, smoother coffee. And because we'd now gone to a new distillation technique, we could get close on 100% alcohol. Right. Very neutral, very clean. And so as we drew the coffee back, pulled the coffee notes back, the flavors when they went together just worked so much better.
Yeah.
So an ultra neutral, clean rum, and then a nice, not even espresso, it's like almost like a macchiato coffee flavor. Put that together, and the rum's almost secondary. You wouldn't know you're drinking alcohol. It's that smooth. Yeah. And because there's extra water in with the coffee as it comes, like as it gets blended, it's just like taking a shot of coffee. You wouldn't even think about it until probably 3 or 4 deep, and
then you'd know.
Then you're in trouble. Yeah. So I'll give you a taste of the very last of the old iteration. Yeah. Like that's as good as we got. Yeah. With the pot still. You probably want to put a bit of water in there to get rid of some of that. It's sparkling caught me off guard.
The sparkling.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's party in my mouth. So this is the last of the pot stilled stuff.
it's got a beautiful colour too. It looks good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the colour's great. The smell's great. It smells like a real, heavily toasted espresso. But you'll see what I mean about it just being a bit disjointed.
It smells so good. Like it's just, it's got a beautiful fresh morning coffee smell to it. But it's also got like banana, some like tropical kind of
That's the rum, right?
flavour in there. Yeah.
So the pot still from the rum just has all these real, inferred sweetness notes to it. This one is aged too, so you get a little bit of woodiness in there as well.
Barrel aged.
Yep. I think this was your favourite one because I'd used you for taste testing.
This is good gear. This is really good. As I say, at the end of a meal, you've had a nice meal, you're sitting down, you want something special, you want to bring out something special to someone, and instead of maybe rolling out a bottle of port or something, so I just try one of these. Or if you're doing the dessert thing, it's like, have an avocado with one of those, try that. You'd be like, that's just premium. It's so good.
Well, like it's almost got the cigar smoke to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's classy.
Yeah, so there's a really, it's quite a toasted coffee bean. And my business partner, he hand selects the coffee himself. So it's roasted to his specifications. Actually, free plug for him as well. But it's how he wants his coffee to be drunk in New Zealand, and he does tailor it for New Zealand. New Zealanders will have a lot more of a darker grind, like a darker roast on their coffee, as opposed to Indonesia, where it's actually quite lightly
like
roasted.
a softer roast, not like a lighter.
Yeah, but Kiwis, they love their dark roast.
Yeah. And what's that coming out at? That's about
40%
40% or something.
So that's 42. That's my last one there.
That's the gold standard.
Yep. So this is the one we're working with now. So this is generation 12. I'm just doing number 13, which is exactly the same as this. But
and so this is where you've cracked getting the right rum alcohol intensity coming through with the right coffee, without having to over push the coffee to try and get what you want. And so they mix really well together in this number 11.
Yep. So it's the coffee's pulled back just a touch.
Yeah.
Like you can smell that a mile away.
Yeah.
That one there, that's like morning coffee.
Yeah.
So we've dialed that back maybe 15%. And what we've done is we've upped the rum a bit. It's actually quite a lot. But together they work quite well. So there's a sample bottle. You can be the first to crack a sample bottle.
Oh. Look at that. Yeah.
And so that one, because I'm so happy with it, we haven't actually put it on oak at all. We haven't aged it. It's literally just, each component was so good, we just blended them. So this is pre-barrel if you were going to barrel it. I don't think you'd need to. I think it's so good, neat.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't have the same really punchy coffee smell, but it's got the soft, interesting flavors. It's got like I say banana. Banana's not, but it's like chocolate.
Yeah, it's estery. Yeah.
Yep. Coming through.
There's phenolic. There's
it is. It's like a
lots of cooked tropical fruits.
Yeah, caramelized,
Bit of coconut.
dark things. It's good. Oh yeah, yeah, that's nice.
Even the mouth feels better, like it's velvety. I mean, you've got
It is.
massive legs running on this. Yeah, it's so much silkier, softer.
Legs?
Legs, yeah. So where it runs down the glass, because this is stronger than the other one as well. This is 44%. So it's a little bit stronger, but you wouldn't know because everything's just a little bit more in balance.
Yeah. That's good. So that's an evolution. That's 12 distillations. Well, not distillations. That's 12 cycles of make the product, complete the product, test it, try it, make it again, tweak something over.
Yep. And best case scenario, you're looking at a month in between each test. And in reality, it's about 2 months because I have this thing called a day job, which takes priority.
So you said you don't need to age that.
I don't think so.
But wouldn't you age some of that anyhow, just so that you have an aged version of it, and to try it, and from a sales or marketing perspective, just to say, well, there's this which you love. Well, here's the barrel aged one that's been sitting around for 18 months, and it's another $300 a bottle.
I don't know, but you can still taste that though, can't you?
Yeah. Yes.
Like, how do you improve on that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. From a sales and marketing perspective, would it hurt it? It would be worth trying, wouldn't it, to just barrel age it and see if it follows the normal approach of it's in a barrel, the barrel's been toasted nicely. It shouldn't detract. If it doesn't detract from it,
I get what you're saying.
You'd say your sales guy could go, well, you're selling that for X $100 a bottle. Well, I can probably sell that for X plus 3 because it's just. It's like you go to shop, there's Jim Beam. Jim Beam's good. Oh, then there's Jim Beam Black Label. Oh, then there's Jim Beam Black Label with a yellow golden seal, whatever it is. It's like, well, it's another $30. So, I haven't tried it. It's probably good because it looks good. I'll buy it.
And the issue with that is that is because bourbon starts off really average. Yeah. And then by aging it, it gets better. Yeah. So the more oak character it picks up, the more intense it gets, the more it, you lose it to atmosphere and lose it to the wood, and it really drills down into the oak. And the thing with that is that, like, it's already great. Yeah. So you put it in a barrel, what are you trying to achieve?
Are there other alcoholic products that are made like rum that start with a sugar base rather than a grain or plant base? Was everything
so rum
is rum the only one?
Rum's anything that's made with sugar generally is rum. So a lot of home brewers, when they're doing their whiskies and all that kind of stuff, it's actually rum with whiskey flavor, or rum with Scotch flavor, rum with bourbon flavor.
Because they're starting from a sugar.
They start with sugar, yeah. They're not actually going out and milling their own wheat. You know what I mean? Yeah,
no, I get so then a home brewer who's making a homebrew whiskey who's starting with a sugar base is really making a rum.
Yeah, they're actually making
a white rum,
refined sugar rum,
and then they're flavouring it
to make it taste like a bourbon.
And so, if you were to do that, if you're a home brewer of a whiskey like that, you do actually buy a whiskey flavour, an additive that you put in.
It's literally in a container that big, around about, and it's like concentrated wood flavour. So you do your rum, or you do your home brew, and then you grab that and you take the lid off and you pour it in and you shake it up. And then you put it into your little Jim Beam bottles to make it people think that it's Jim Beam, but it's actually not. Yeah, but they're all making rum. The vast majority of people aren't mashing their own grains, and using rye and wheat and sorghum and millet and barley. They're not. It's white sugar. Any guy who's a home brewer who goes to the effort of actually milling, mashing, and sparging his own grain, like high fives. Like you're doing it right. Yeah, 90%, probably 90 plus. Not going to that level of detail. Yeah, but if they do, like, they're actually making legitimate, honest,
proper
whiskey
product. Yeah,
proper whiskey. Otherwise, everyone else is just You know, I mean, it's homebrew, right? It's what it is.
So, they talk about whiskies having a peaty flavour because they're coming out of Ireland and Scotland, and there's peat bogs up there. Is that because is peat part of the mash, or is it part of the aging process? Do you know?
They smoke the barley
on peat. They dry peat.
On peat, yeah. So they'll
right.
You know, like they'll get peat and they'll ignite it.
Yeah.
And it will smoke, and the smoke goes through the barley.
Yeah.
And then they'll crush the barley, and then they'll mash the barley, and that smoke flavour stays with it all the way through.
So you could, if you wanted to make a real New Zealand flavoured product, you could use gorse and just smoke it on gorse. Cut down a heap of gorse, dry it out, and then smoke it on gorse.
Gorse is actually underrated. Like, everyone goes on about gorse, but have you had gorse wine?
What?
Gorse wine.
No,
you take the gorse flour.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can make wine out of it.
Really? It's got enough sugar in the flour to ferment?
Oh, I mean, mix it
for real.
Mix it with other stuff.
If we had a producer, I'd ask them to fact check this and Google this.
Google gorse wine, producer.
Ah.
No, gorse wine. Yeah, it's really good. Surprisingly,
never heard of it. Didn't know you could do it.
There's lots of things you don't know you can't do.
I told you about my did I tell you about my cabbage tree adventures the other day? So I was looking for some firewood. I think you guys were coming over. I was like, I should get a bit of firewood because I'm just about to run out. And so I went down to the local recycling centre where I know they've got some free firewood. I look in the bin. There's these big rounds.
In the what?
In the bin.
The bin.
Yeah, the bin.
Oh, the bin.
The bin.
Yeah.
There's these big rounds of wood, this high, it's big. And that's free firewood. I'm like, I loaded up the back of our car with it. It had been in the rain. It got a bit wet, but I thought I'm going to let it dry out for a while. It's fine. Pulled out the car. The car
see where this
smells.
is going.
I've got the stuff at home, and for some reason, I have no idea why, but the back of my mind, I was like, I just want to Google this. And so I Googled cabbage tree for burning. And the first thing that comes up on Google is early European settlers in New Zealand found that the cabbage tree was so bad at burning, they would often use it to line the inside of their chimneys. I actually called my dad and said, Dad, you're going to laugh at this. I bought some, I didn't buy it, it was free, but I got some wood and go and Google this. This is what it's used for, lining chimneys. That's how badly it burns.
You can see some cheeky asshole, right, cutting down his cabbage tree, setting up that free forward box going,
yeah.
Some fucking sucker's going to take this away. And it's probably going to be an Australian.
Yeah. I honestly had no idea, but I could not believe it when I read it. It's like there can't be... how can there be a worse wood to burn than something you would line your chimney with? So,
It's like 98% water, right? Like,
yeah.
The only thing worse would be lining your chimney with water.
Yeah. Well, that's right. If cabbage tree was not available, they'd resort to using ice.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. So I've got it sitting down the back. It hasn't dried out. Well, maybe it has, but I'm going to make it burn. I'm fucking burning it. There's no way I'm not burning it.
Out of principle.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck the neighbours.
But it might just be like it's a week later, it's still smouldering in the fireplace.
You'll let that shit dry out for a decade. And it'll be just like a twig, like a vanilla pod or something by the time it's done.
I could just see, I've got a couple of kids down there with like little flamethrowers for a couple of hours a day for 2 months in summertime. They're, it's nearly ready. You should better burn it soon.
What are you burning, Dad? Burning some tea tree. Do you want me to get some more diesel, Dad? This tea tree needs a bit more diesel.
Shit. Diesel, good gear. Love the smell of diesel in the morning or the afternoon, whenever. I used to work with a road crew years ago, building roads. It was my first job. My first job was with a video, like when the videos came out in the 80s.
What videos?
All sorts of videos. Video stores started as a thing.
Like Video Easy?
Yeah, but Video Headquarters is where I worked. Great job. But I started there when I was 13. But then my next job after that was working for a road crew, a summertime job. And I was the stop-go guy.
Oh, yeah, the lollipop man.
Yeah, lollipop man, stop-go. And the smell of diesel, I'll always remember from that, because we would use diesel to clean bitumen. The product that gets bitumen off everything bitumen gets onto is diesel.
Kerosene.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but we had diesel, so we'd use diesel. Yeah.
So you're a lollipop man, eh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was a lollipop man. Yeah, I've got some fun memories of that. I was also a broom man. So the lollipop man was also the broom man. When, maybe it's different in other places of the world, in Australia, when you're just tarring a road, so you're not hot mixing, but when you're tarring a road, you have a spray truck, like a little tanker, go up, drive up the road. At the back of it's got bars of little jets, and they spray hot tar at like 200 degrees Celsius on the road.
Relatively hot.
Pretty hot. You don't want to get on your skin. And then you have two tipper trucks that drive backwards. Tipper truck drivers are amazing, man.
Yeah, with all the
fucking good drivers.
With the stones.
Well, they're driving back with what, 10 or 12 ton of stone, elevated, like slowly, dynamically changing as they're going uphill. But the spray bars and the width of the road in Australia is, I don't know, let's say it's 21 feet wide. I don't know what it is. And the trucks are 10 feet each. So you end up with a gap of about this big in the middle of it, where it's just a strip of tar, which you can't have. So the lollipop guy, once they've gone and they're driven up there and they've emptied out, your job is then to get a broom, like a big old yard brush, big, thick, bristled broom, and just sweep
the excess rocks.
The excess to cover that little 2-inch gap that runs all the way up.
See, I thought that was just a New Zealand thing, coarse chip. Like that's
no
coarse chip.
Yeah, no, we do the same thing. It's blue metal on top of tar.
Metal, on tar, yeah.
Tar goes out about 200 degrees. In certain areas, getting to alpine areas, we do a little bit of work in alpine areas, getting up to Cabramurra in Australia. You mix in plastic beads with it, which gives it some ability to expand and contract so the tar doesn't actually just freeze, like when it goes, minus 10 or whatever, it doesn't just freeze and become brittle and crack and flake off. You mix in plastic beads with it, and then that allows it to, when it freezes each night and then the sun hits it and heats up, to expand and contract a little bit. But we do that. We do hot mixing. Used to do the hot mix shuffle. Hot mix shuffle. Like hot mix is different. Hot mix has got this funny, it's a cool looking machine with these, almost looks like a futuristic spaceship in a way. It's kind of, might have sort of, a couple of wheels at the back. It's almost got a caterpillar track at the front, and it's got a big hopper. Slow down, big hopper, like a big frog mouth at the front. And a truck with hot mix backs up to it and dumps hot mix, which is stones, little stones covered in tar and tack, into the front of it. And
asphalt.
Asphalt. And it has conveyor belts which then run it down under the machine. You drive it slowly forward, and it pumps it out the back at a nice even rate and at a depth that you want. And then guys go behind that and will make sure it's just filling all the gaps.
Tramp it,
that sort of thing, and sweep it around. But it is summertime, so everyone's wearing your orange safety vest, fucking hot. Like safety vest, pair of stubbies, pair of steel cap boots, and a pair of socks. That's all you want. You don't wear any more. It's hot. But someone will sweep something around, and a little bit of that hot mix will go down the side of your boot into your sock, and so before you know it, it's melted through your sock and starting to melt into the side of your ankle, and you'll just see someone do the hot mix shuffle, where they just throw the rake on the ground, start hopping on one leg, trying to get their boot off, and get this thing out of their ankle. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I had some funny times with those guys. Some good stories, some very funny times. It's a good job.
It sounds like you were really on a career path, and
yeah, I was, man.
What happened?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Video store, hot mix. Good jobs though. Really, really good jobs.
Fun jobs.
Fun and just really good jobs for a kid to have, for someone to have, to experience the world a little bit.
They're real jobs.
Yeah. Well, the video shop job was a good job. At age 13, I had the responsibility of, on a Sunday morning, going in, opening up a store. They gave me the keys. I'd open up the store. I'd get it all set up with a computer system, which is new to have a computer system. And I was running, like I was a shift manager at age 13. I was getting $3. I was getting $3 an hour. I get $18 for a 6-hour shift on a Sunday. But yeah, I loved it.
That's massive.
Yeah.
This is the funny thing, right? Most modern people, anyone who was born after the year 2000, it sounds like, to me, it sounds like they're probably 2 years old, but they're not. They're in their 20s now, right? Is that they never had the drama of going into a video shop and then trying to find the video wanted, like the one movie you wanted to see, and there was nothing there but a black and white picture
Cover.
of it because all the other ones were rented out.
Or it had like a yellow cardboard tag stuck in there. It said, I'm out, or I'm hired, or something. Yeah. Oh man, we would have once a month, roadshow rep would turn up in the car, and they'd bring in cardboard boxes, and it'd be like Christmas. It'd be like, what is it? And it'd be like, oh, it's Rambo 3,
Terminator,
and we'd have 20 VHS Rambo 3s. And 2 Betamax Rambo 3s.
Oh, you still had Betamax?
We still had Beta.
Fuck.
Yeah, it still had them. We used to even rent out video recorders. Yes, rent out like a video recorder for $50. They give you a Friday and a Saturday night and 3 movies.
Yep.
That kind of thing.
Yep. And you could see how much money had been spent on this movie was relative to the amount of copies that they had on the shelf.
Oh, well, it's how big a blockbuster it was.
Exactly.
How important you thought it was going to be, how big you thought it was going to be.
Indie films back in the day was
one.
There was one.
Yeah.
And then if it was Terminator, there'd be 14.
They would.
But then you go there on a Friday night and you pick up your Chinese and your fish and chips, and they're all gone. They're all turned over.
Yeah.
Fuck, now what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Well, you can't go on Netflix and chill.
No.
You know?
Got to find something else to do.
Now we just got to eat our dinner and
chill.
What do you do? Turn on the cathode ray tube.
Yeah.
There's 2 channels to choose from.
I was at a building the other day, and in one of their foyers, they had an old school TV, like even old school for you and I. It's probably like a high end. I want to say it was a high-end 60s TV, still quite wood cabinety,
yeah, nice,
but rounded around the old green screen kind of thing. I took a picture on my phone. I haven't showed it to the kids, but I wanted to show it to them and say, "What's that?" And just see if they'd figure it out. You know, I don't know, Dad, what is that thing? It's weird.
You know what? I'll tell you this terrible story, and I want to say it's my kids that are guilty of this, but it's not. It's my wife. So. My wife, can I name names? I'm not going to name names. Anyway, we'd looking at some photos for a calendar. So we're working on a calendar that we do for the family every year. And we send pictures in. And anyway, we had this one particular photo that we had to take a photo of. It's an older photo. It's not digital yet. So it's like a hard copy photo, old school photo. So, give it to my wife. My wife looks at it. Oh, yep.
Really? Tried to swipe it?
She starts to try and swipe a photo.
Babies that have grown up with iPads. Like if the little kids, like real little kids, you give them an iPad to play with for a little while.
Yeah.
Then you give them a book. They try and swipe the book. And then throw the book away.
And that's acceptable. Right? Because that's all they've known.
Yeah.
But to a 30/40-year-old, like all that prior memory's gone. And they're so used to...
Because I think in some respects it's a more effective, efficient way to get your content. So you expect it. When I got would have been 2009 when the iPhone came out?
2009?
2008, 2009, around there. So I got my first iPhone.
Before then? Oh, no, you're about right. 2008, yeah.
Yeah, around then.
Yeah.
Whenever they first came out, I got the first one, and it was amazing. It was just like, this is so cool. You can get games and apps and shit. But I sat down on the couch and like play with it for a couple of hours, like loading it up. You know, like the things you could buy on the App Store were the picture of a fireplace, $1.50. Like some bastard out there made $1 million, and all that his app did.
I brought that.
Yeah,
because it sounded good too.
Yeah,
it actually had the.
Yeah,
had
that's
the
all it did. It just looped a 30-second video of a fireplace.
But it was a good loop. And I brought it, and I'd sit there and try and figure out when the overlay would happen. You did the same, right? Like,
yeah.
When is it?
Well, I got the free version, so you got an ad. You could tell when the loop had finished. But after looking through all that stuff for a couple of hours, I went to my computer, my laptop, and you know what I did? As soon as I went to interact with it, I went to push the screen.
Yes.
And I remembered, I was like, this isn't a touch screen laptop. They don't have touch screen laptops.
They haven't been invented yet.
No, but you could just see, like, Steve Jobs must have been going, fuck me, we're going to make millions. We're going to make our laptops touchscreen as well. People be like, no, that's crazy. Be like, you're fired. Everyone, make them touchscreen. Because it was just so intuitive. There was no mental hurdle to touch the screen of my laptop to make it do something. It's like, why aren't all laptop screens touchscreen now?
Yeah. I think that's why kids, can walk into Nana and Granddad's house and see a photo on the cabinet and pick it up and then
swipe it.
Start to try and swipe it.
Yeah, and then throw it away because it's broken.
What's wrong with this?
Yeah.
It's not working.
Yeah.
Fuck is this? Fuck is this shit?
Well,
What is this old school witchcraft?
30, what is it? Something like 30%, I don't know what the number is. Make up some cool number, 76%, 120% of things that you use in your life haven't been invented when you were born. So for us, it's like Walkmans, CD players, DVD players, Blu-ray players, skyboxes, Netflix, IMAX, laptop computers. I remember back in the 90s, a mate of mine had like a laptop, but it was like half the size of a laptop, but too big to be a mobile phone. Super clunky thing, had no internet. I don't know what the fuck he used it for. Honestly, it would have been so low spec, but all those things, none of them were invented, and now we use them all the time.
Running a 286 processor.
286.
At best.
Showing off.
Might even be an 886, the precursor.
Ray, the racist, he imports pallet loads of old laptops and just figures out, like, what model is this? What's this? Okay. And then, amps the RAM, puts a bit of hard drive in it, tweaks this and that, the settings, and then sells it off as something which is usable. The
retro market's nuts.
Yeah.
I just picked up yesterday, such a random conversation. I just picked up yesterday an arcade machine.
Did you?
A 6-button.
A sit down or a stand up?
It's a bar top, but it's a proper old school retro arcade machine. It's got quite a few games in it, but it's a 6-button joystick.
What's it got on it? What games?
It's got Street Fighter on it.
Does it?
And Raiden.
Wow.
Yeah. And World Heroes, which is actually my favourite.
World Heroes.
Yeah. A little bit left of centre.
Where's that going? Upstairs, downstairs, or downstairs?
It's already in the rumpus room.
Is it?
Yeah, with the pool table.
Yeah.
And the dartboard. It's amazing.
Right.
Amy and I.
Do you rump in there quite often?
My wife and I. No names named. We were down there all last night. Yeah. Playing 2 players.
Yeah.
So good.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
That's cool.
What do they call it? CGA graphics. CGA.
Jesus. You know what? I had a friend at school, and I tried to be him, but I couldn't do it. He was like the first computer guy at school, and this is when the computer market was still fragmented. It hadn't settled, hadn't distilled itself down to Apple and Microsoft.
Right.
You could buy an Apricot, and you could buy an Atari and an Acer and
Atari, Amiga, Commodore.
Yeah, all these things.
Yeah, Amstrads. Before the Commodore 64, everyone had, they were awesome. C16, yeah.
Before that, whatever this thing was, it was just like a tape deck.
Totally.
And a screen, and you'd put a tape in and start the tape playing, and then you go and have dinner and come back, and hopefully it hadn't somehow screwed itself up. And then maybe the screen would come on and you could type in a few commands to make some areas of the screen light up.
CMD. Yeah. So I remember these days, like, these are the best days of my lives working on these things. But as well as my friends that actually had tape decks, my cousins, because they had a lot more money than we did, their computer ran off a tape. And so you'd rewind the tape. I think it was an Amstrad. You'd rewind it, you push it, and you press play. And you press play. And then, you'd go command, play, a:/game.exe. And it would play. But the tape would be running the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
And then, when I went to intermediate, I did computer studies at intermediate. And by this time, like, I thought I was already pretty savvy because I had an Atari 520. And there was the Amiga 500 and the Atari 520. So I had the Atari. I was like, yeah, I'm fucking so far above you fucking pricks. So I went to this computer studies, and we were dealing with, what do they call it, 3.5-inch floppies. 3.5-inch floppies. So I did computer studies. And we were working on these old, I don't know if they were like ex-banking or ex-business PCs that had these discs.
Oh, the 5.5 inch.
No, they were bigger.
Right.
They were like fucking 9 inches. And the disc inside was like an LP.
Yeah.
And you'd put these things in, turn the thing to lock it on, just in case it like fucking jumped out, God knows why. And then that was it. Green, like I don't even think green was invented. It was like black and white screen. It was still monochrome.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my uncle had, this is back in, I want to say like 87 or something, an IBM PC, home PC, and I think it had like the big, it's not the 5.25 inch like this.
There's 3.5 and 5.25,
and then there's bigger things. Yeah, bigger things like an LP.
Like an LP in a plastic case that didn't even have the spring-loaded metal clip that the machine would pull apart to read it. This is like. It's analog. It's the origin of analog.
You had to actually go in and change the needle every now and again.
Just about. Yeah. You could actually see the 01110. You could see it running the sequence.
So this, I was going to say, this friend of mine who I was trying to be, because he was just so good with computers back then, this thing where you had the tape and the screen and you'd load it up, like he'd be loading it up and he'd just go, nah, we need to restart it. You go, why? He's like, no, I can hear it. It's not right. Because you could hear the thing, like it was as it was loading stuff, like an old modem where you're going, doop, 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 doop. This thing was making some sound as it was loading stuff. And he'd be like, nah, it's fallen over. And he's probably just pulling my leg at the time, but I was like, he's fucking genius. How does this guy know this shit?
Playing those games, like I remember playing one of the first games that blew my mind was not Dungeons and Dragons. It was fucking goblin game, and you could shoot like a lance. 2D scroller.
Dig Dug.
No, not Dig Dug. Not Dig Dug. We had all those Atari games when I was younger, like Atari. It was out. You had arcade machines. They were there. Yeah. I'm sure it was Ghouls and Goblins. Ooh. Ghouls and Goblins. That was the one where you could actually power a dude up. Wow. So you weren't just defined by a one-dimensional spaceship going back and forth, and then firing. Boo, 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 brr, brr, brr. Now you could get armor, and you could upgrade your weapons.
Yeah.
What the fuck is happening? Is this real?
Yeah, insane. The first interaction with a digital device that I can remember, we would have been about 10 years old, and it was like the era of when the Donkey Kong little handhelds came out.
Oh, right.
But prior to Donkey Kong, or maybe Donkey Kong came out early, but it wasn't the first game that we saw. We had one, I want to call it jailbreak.
Nintendo brought out the handheld.
But these are the single screen
LCD
ones.
Screens, yeah.
LCD screen, and just like a left and a right button. And Pancake was one of them. Like you had a little LCD guy which would move across and try and catch.
There were two buttons on the right, A and B, and there was up, down, left, right on the left.
Yeah. Well, that was it. And then a mate of mine got a watch. I don't know what type of watch it was.
It was a Casio watch with a fucking calculator in it.
It was better than that.
And it could do cosine?
No. It had a game in it where you could use the buttons on the side of the watch to shoot, and like a little UFO would fly across from left to right, and you could kind of move a cannon, like left, right, shoot. We're like, this is insane technology. How does this happen? The world's gonna end.
How do we
How do we go beyond this?
It's like
This is impossible.
the Nokia 6610.
Bill Gates.
Everybody had those 6610s.
16 megabytes of RAM is enough for any human. No one needs more memory than that.
But everyone our age remembers playing Worm, right? And your Worm gets longer and longer. And you're like, fuck, this game is so fucking intense. Fucking hell, my Worm's like 10 centimetres long. You can crawl around yourself trying to back a spiral around. Fucking hell. And then now you look at computer games and it's a free-for-all. You know, what do they call it? Open world.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. This is what Matt was saying the other night, that his brother got banned because they're playing some multiplayer PlayStation racing game, and someone he was racing against, whether he knew them or not, he tried to call them a fag or something, like to text that to them, and PlayStation went, "That's it, mate, you're out for a week." They booted him off the PlayStation gaming system for a week.
For a trigger word.
Yeah, for a trigger word. Yeah, that's it, you're out. We were talking about this last night, and the censorship is just everywhere now. So we're talking,
Yeah, but censorship's one. It seems really one-sided.
Yeah.
Right? So if you think about censorship and whoever's in... I'll talk about any kind of politics you want. But whoever's in power seems to be able to wield the censorship weapon.
Yes.
And then you have whomever is not in power is
censored.
Is censored.
Yeah.
So it's like history is written by the victor.
Yeah.
And as long as I'm the victor, I'm going to shut you the fuck up.
Yeah. And rewrite what happened.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the way it feels. Like whether you're dealing with New Zealand, Australia, American politics, whatever it is, it just seems that whoever in power is the wielder of the censorship. And I was thinking to myself, well, if the Democrats are going to censor any kind of remotely right-wing conversation, why aren't those not in power censoring any democratic propaganda, whatever you want to call it? It's like, what?
Well, like you're saying, they're not, because they're not in power. They're not controlling the platforms.
But what is the difference in the mechanism to make that happen? So, you know, if you talk about Donald Trump, so you say Donald Trump, you know, he set up Truth Social. He's got all these things. He has his right wings, and then, you know, you have the Democrats that go so far out left, it's ridiculous. Theoretically, there should be censor wars that should be cancelling each other off.
Yeah, I think the challenge there, though, is that Truth Social doesn't have the number of people using it. Well, it seems, as something like Twitter.
That was an example.
Yeah, but I think that's a good example. And that Truth Social was established because Twitter, which was the original platform everyone's communicating on, is extremely left-wing in its orientation.
But it seems that all
social media,
anything mainstream social media seems to be
very
hard left-leaning.
Yeah, agreed, definitely. Like Andrew Tate, the guy, he just got banned off everything 2 weeks ago. Everything, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. They just like, you're out, mate, for everything, because his take, it's right wing. It's oddly old school in a lot of his takes on the way men and women interact. Yeah, and he just got completely banned everywhere. And I was saying this to Matt, like, I don't think you should be banning people. I don't think they should have banned Trump. I mean, off Twitter and everything. Let people speak. Let them speak. You don't have to listen to them. You don't have to follow them. You don't have to subscribe to them.
That's right.
But let them speak. And then if you want to, engage with them. And if you think they're totally wrong, then have a really good argument, engage with them, and show them that they're wrong in front of millions of people. And so maybe some people will go, oh yeah, actually he's a knob. I'm going to unfollow him.
This is what I think, right? Is that I agree with you, and I agree with you because I think that if you want to have an educated discussion about something, whatever it is, the moment you censor something, you're dumbing the conversation down because no one gets to see the other side.
Yeah.
So let's say you don't like tomatoes, but I fucking love tomatoes. Now, I'm currently in power and I want everyone to like tomatoes. So you say tomatoes are bad. They're related to the deadly nightshade family, and no, any tomato-related conversation is going to be shut down.
It's fake news.
And now, if you don't like tomatoes, you're a fucking dick.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, you're on the outside. You're an outcast. It's like, what? You don't like tomatoes? But the emperor loves tomatoes.
But yeah, the emperor who's got no clothes on loves his tomatoes.
Yeah.
So you are now creating a whole generation of people who can't parlay, who can't debate, who can't critically think. Now, if I said to you, I like tomatoes, and you said, you don't like tomatoes, we would discuss the pros and cons of tomatoes. And we'd still be friends.
Yeah.
But we'd agree that we see tomatoes in different ways.
And we might even get to the point where we go, you know what? Actually, there is a part of tomatoes. I like the colour of tomatoes.
Yeah.
I just don't like the taste of them.
I fucking love tomato sauce, but I don't like tomatoes.
Yeah. But that conversation can't happen if you just ban me off the platform.
Right. That's right. So you're almost directing like lemmings off a cliff because they can't see past their blinkers. There's no constructive, critical
conversation.
Nothing.
How do you, language is so important to us as humans. It's what separates us probably from all other animal species. Very generally and broadly, is language. There's no other animal that we know of that communicates like we can at the level that we can. If you stop that, that communication.
You're devolving.
You're devolving, aren't you? You're going backwards.
Yeah, you're dumbing down. Yeah.
Have you seen? I've seen or read about this. Television crew found, I don't know where it is. If we get a producer, they can Google it for us. Let's just say a tribe of people, and they'd never established mathematics as part of their culture to the extent where they couldn't count beyond, let's say, 3. They knew 1, they knew 2, maybe they knew 3, and beyond that, it was a big number. So they'd never established like the concept of, like a decimal counting system, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, just repeating every 10 digits or any sort of a system like that. So these guys, when they would herd their goats, they'd have their goats in their pen at night time. And the young boys' job was when they let the goats go out, they had a pile of rocks. And so like the 16 goats would go out and he put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 16. All of the rocks went across. So all the goats went out. So at the end of the day, they bring all the goats home and they bring all the goats back in, and his job to count them back, and they go, oh no, there's still some rocks here. They couldn't count how many rocks are here. So the television crew are going like, 7 rocks left. You've missed 7 goats. And these guys had no idea. So they'd run back out in the dark and they'd find goats, like they'd find 4 goats, and they'd come running back in, big smile on their faces, we found the goats, and they'd move 4 more rocks, and they go, oh, we're still missing goats. And the camera crew are like, are you out of your fucking mind? Because they had never conceptualized the way of counting like we do. So they couldn't do it. And this is the problem you really have with stopping free speech. Like imagine if you just banned the word riot and revolution. If you just, and this comes up in Orwell's 1984, you ban for 2 generations the use of the word revolution. Anyone caught saying that, you just execute them on the spot, and it's outlawed from all writing. You go back to all texts, you remove it. Any book that mentions a revolution gets burnt. After 2 generations, people can't get together and talk about having a revolution because they don't know the word. No, they can't conceptualize it.
It doesn't take that long.
That was the freakiest, the actual scary concept of 1984. When I read, I think I read it in like in the preface or the notes afterwards or something. It was like, holy shit, that's scary. If you do that, that's scary. And that's why this is such a big thing, to say compelling speech or to restricting free speech. And even if you don't like someone, if someone's saying, yeah, we should do any sort of shit we want with our pants off everywhere, it's like, guy, you're a wanker. But you still got to let them say that, because if you don't let them say that, who gets to choose what gets to be said and what doesn't get to be said?
So what you said there is really important. Who gets to choose and why? Right? Who gets to choose and why?
Yeah.
Who is this person that gets to choose?
That knows.
Who is this grand poobah?
Knower of what's right and what's wrong.
That's right. So who's this person? And I used to hate this thing. I'm a tradesman, obviously, but I've done, quite a few years in working in corporate, used to be a team manager and all this kind of stuff. And the one thing that used to fucking piss me off was the business.
Mm.
The business says. The business doesn't like, the business thinks we should.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who the fuck is this business? He's got a name, right? What's his fucking name? I'm going to go have a fucking chat with this guy. The business. There is no business. There is a person. There's somebody's name, right? If me and this business would sit down and go out on the town, the business might not make it home.
Well, or it might be that you and the business go out and suddenly the business realises that actually the tomatoes are okay, or I like tomato sauce.
He could do. He might like tomato with chipotle or sriracha or whatever the case may be. But it's like this whole, hiding from, the lower down, the business. And that's the thing about the government. It's like, clearly, you talk about America. If you think about American politics, we're not talking about it, but if you think about American politics, Joe Biden is suffering from some fairly severe mental issues. Like, he's incoherent. He doesn't know where he is 1 minute to the next. And you think about that he's the leader of the free world. And you can find any clip you want where he'll put his hand out to shake someone else's hand, and then 10 minutes later, actually less than 30 seconds later, he'll put his hand back out because he's already forgotten. So he's obviously suffering from dementia and all these other things. But he's supposed to be the leader of the free world, right? Clearly he's not. So who is? Yeah. Who is this person? Like I say, the business. Who are these people that are, creating the narrative,
pulling
the
the
rules,
strings,
the descriptions, what we should and shouldn't feel, all these kind of things. And so, getting back to where we were 10 minutes ago, if you can't have an honest and robust, critical and objective discussion with somebody else, you're already fucked.
Yeah.
You need to be able to negotiate and stand your position, accept someone else's position, and then discuss why it's different and why you could be right or wrong, and if you could be right or wrong.
Yeah.
And you might be. It's like,
that's a big thing. You got to try to keep your mind open to the fact that, hey, there's something else I could learn here. Like maybe I don't know everything. Like I really think I know this. It's really hard to do.
Flat earthers are a great example.
Yeah.
And they get me thinking. Because some of the arguments they put forward are legitimate. It's like, okay, everything that I've been taught is that the Earth's a sphere. And there's a rate that, if you think about, we go from point A to point B, the curvature of the Earth should be this many meters to this point and this point. And we've got customers, in my business, we have customers that are hardcore flat earthers. And they send me photos of where they are to White Island or Waiheke or Coromandel. And they're standing on a beach in Auckland, and you've got a 400 times zoom lens, which is looking at the sand on Coromandel Peninsula. And they'll say to me,
if the Earth was round, you wouldn't be able to see this.
If the Earth was round, the curvature of the Earth would be 235 meters between here and there. So theoretically, we could only see the tops of those trees. So tell me, how can we see that sand? And I'm like, fuck it, man, I don't have an answer. But we can see that sand from Auckland.
Yeah.
And it's just like, fuck, I don't know. But I'll entertain them and I'll say, yeah, actually, I can't answer that.
I think for the flat earthers, I guess the question is why? Why is it such a big conspiracy? Like, why do we try to trick everyone to make them think the world is round?
Well, and what's on the other side? Because they say, since the 1960s, every government in the world has put up military patrols around Antarctica, And then, because it's a big ice shelf and we can't get on the other side, it's like, so what's on the other side? If they actually get over that shelf, what are they going to like knock on a glass wall?
Yeah.
And who made the glass wall?
Yeah.
So
just what? Yeah. Just why? And is the moon problematic? Like I've never.
The sun's problematic. Like I have an issue with the sun, and so fucking hell. So flat earthers like, and I don't have $1 each way. Like I don't know because I've not been to space and seen Earth, right? So I don't actually have an opinion. But if the Earth was a sphere and the Earth was flat, and you look at a flat Earth map and you go, all right, here's the eastern seaboard of America, and then on the flat Earth map, here's
Antarctica all the way around the outside.
Well, Africa, say the western seaboard of Africa. So theoretically, if the flat Earth model's correct,
to get from there to there,
it wouldn't be a 4-hour flight from here to here. It would be a 36-hour flight right across flat Earth.
You'd be flying backwards.
But there are flights that go the other way,
Yeah.
But then at the same time, they do the whole curvature of the Earth thing. And you look at the curvature of the Earth, and very seldom do you find anything disputing.
This is the thing.
Well, supporting the curvature of the Earth.
And again, for me, perhaps I've just been totally indoctrinated by mainstream physics and have believed that the world is a globe and the sun's a globe and everything's basically globular out there. And so I've never questioned it enough. But I would have thought there'd be a whole heap of pilots going, nah, man, it's a scam. They teach us at pilot school to just pretend that we're flying that way, but we're actually turning the plane around and flying that way. And we just don't tell anyone.
So pilots get told to use a flat map. So, they're taught that the map should be flat. But, for all intents and purposes, if you're following a sphere, if you look at a sphere, any point that a plane is perpendicular to the sphere, it's flat. So wherever it is, they're always flat. And like I said, I don't have $1 each.
Those planes aren't actually flying in straight lines to get between places. If they're doing long-haul flights, they're flying curves because the planet's turning underneath them. So they're actually flying curves.
Yeah, so they're flying to meet it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. And like I say, I'm not spherical Earth or flat Earth because I don't know. I live on the Earth. I don't know what the fuck it is. Could be, couldn't be.
Well, here's another thing. Yeah, night time.
But the sun's the thing that fucks me off.
Yeah.
Right? The sun and the seasons. So if the Earth was flat, and there's arguments pro flat Earth, and a lot of them make sense. But then there's arguments pro sphere. So if the sun comes up, well, the whole Earth is in day. Does that make sense to you?
Of course not.
And then you've got the North Pole and the South Pole that have 6 months of dark. But if the Earth was flat, if the sun came up, it's like it's shining a light on a fucking dinner plate. It's day everywhere.
It's day everywhere. Well, that sounds logical, but clearly we're missing something.
But maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah. Or at night time. When you go out at night time, you get out there at 10 o'clock at night, it's dark, you lay down on a blanket, and you got your friends around, and you're looking at the stars, and it's awesome. And 6 hours later, the sun comes up, and like those stars that were there have moved over there. And then if you did it, a long weekend, you do it again the next night, those same stars start there and move over there. So how does the flat disc account for that? Or does a flat disc turn around?
No, it doesn't. It's always moving up, whichever direction up is. It's always moving up at like 4,000 feet per minute, whatever it is. There's things about it, and I'm not an expert. I don't know, but the point is the entire.
And what holds things to the Earth? Like, don't you have to throw gravity out?
Gravity. So the thing about gravity, like as we understand gravity in a spherical Earth.
And why do we only live on one side of the Earth? Why hasn't anyone gone round the other side?
What do you mean?
Well, if it's a flat Earth, they don't have two. They don't have two sides, do they?
Yeah. Well, you can't get out. So this is the thing. Like my whole point.
This is sounding less and less believable.
Both sides are believable or not believable. It depends, but. The whole point about this argument
what's the unbelievable part of living on a sphere? Like, what's the unbelievable part? People take a photo of Waiheke and they claim that they shouldn't be able to see it. they've probably just done their math wrong in terms of the amount of curvature.
Well, see,
That's a simple thing
the
to
thing
fuck
is,
up.
is that gravity.
I mean, I
just-
think some of these guys would struggle with the maths.
gravity just doesn't just affect matter. It affects light. So gravity will actually bend light down. So
Yeah, but I don't know if that's what's happening there. But here's a really good one. So you got a flat Earth map. So a flat Earth map, it's a disc.
we've gone so far from what I was actually talking about.
But this is a good one because I hadn't thought of this one before. It's like do flat earthers think that we've only had, I don't know, like a few thousand years living here?
4,000.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, 4,000.
Oh, is that part of the flat Earth
There
theory?
was a number, yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. Now the nonsense is making more
same
sense.
as the guys that think Noah's Ark. It's like Noah's Ark happened.
Oh,
And all these.
Noah's Ark, I would say, probably did happen 10,000 years ago when the whole Younger Dryas thing happened. I'm sure there were people who somehow they were built big boats to ride stuff out. I think that probably happened multiple times. Multiple arcs possibly happened.
But not all of the animals.
No, not all the animals. but with the flat Earth thing is, how come it's a disc? Like it's a pizza. With a pizza
dish.
the topping's only on one side.
Yep.
And with flat Earth, it seems like the topping's only on one side. The people are only on one side.
Yeah.
Why? Like, why hasn't anyone gone around the other side?
But you can see some credence in flat Earth.
Why?
Right?
Where? I'm struggling.
So to clarify, I'm not a flat earther. But what I'm saying is that I'm willing to debate.
Oh, I'll debate it. Yeah.
Right? So this is the thing. This is the whole thing about censorship. And this is what I'm trying to get round to, is that I'm more than happy to have the conversation.
Yeah,
and it should be.
How wrong would it be to say, hey, flat earthers, you guys are all
You're wrong.
banned off Twitter. You cannot go on Twitter.
100%.
You cannot spout this nonsense anymore.
But tell me how it works. Tell me how you see it.
Yeah. I want to talk to a flat earther and understand why the
convince
topping's
me.
only on one side of the pizza.
Convince me.
Yeah.
So they say gravity is a construct, like gravity doesn't exist. But so if you think about a spherical Earth.
Then what's this? What's doing this?
Right, correct. So as we know the round Earth, like there's a pull to a mass. And
Yes.
it's equal across the entire sphere. No matter where you are, it pulls to the centre.
And if we just out of interest, if we were to say that makes sense, which would allow us to have satellites which go orbitally around the planet and like Starlink and all that sort of stuff. And people can buy Starlink things which are using satellites now. That stuff all works based upon it being a globe.
It exists. So it exists. So gravity is explained by people who believe flat Earth, whether they're right or wrong, don't have an opinion either way, is that the Earth disk is traveling north at 4,000 feet per second, whatever it is, right, traveling up. So that when I throw something up and it comes back down, it's because this is traveling up. So there is no gravity. What there is that it's catching up to the Earth traveling up.
Got you.
Right?
Yep. Okay, fair enough. That makes sense. I'm convinced.
No,
I'm not. Really.
But like I say, we've not gone off topic, but we have gone fucked. We've kind of gone into weird ground.
It's interesting to think about that. First of all, I 100% agree with you that you shouldn't ban people from being flat earthers. You shouldn't knock them off Twitter because they have this opinion. Because who was it? Was it Copernicus who was burnt at the stake because he said, you know what? The sun doesn't revolve around the Earth. The Earth actually revolves around the sun. It's like, you heretic.
Yeah.
Burn him, he's a witch.
Yeah.
But the dude was right. He got banned. He got cancelled. That was wrong, The guy got burnt to death for that.
That's relatively extreme cancellation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cancelled.
He's literally cancelled. This whole show's fucking cancelled.
You mean my Twitter's gone? No, man. You were cancelled. What do you mean?
You're done.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's it. You're over. Good.
You're not going to talk to anybody after this. I'm going to have a piss.
Can
you pause that?
Yeah, we'll end it. We'll come back for part 2.
Okay.
There we go. That's how we manage it without a producer. We can't pause things.
Can't pause things.